I thought I would depart from my normal format and tried making a video in a dark theme and see how it goes. In this video, I want to talk about direct editing, particularly how we might spin or revolve or rotate existing features in something like a step file. Here I've got an imported step file and I don't have a complete history of how it was made, so editing the step file would depend or rely on direct editing tools. Likewise, you might have a native file in Alibre, but the history tree is so long that changing something in the beginning with a lot of features dependent on it might be impractical with how many updates you have to make down the tree, and working with direct editing is a much more pragmatic way to edit the part. In either case, these direct editing tools here would prove to be very useful. For instance, remove face is one of my favorite ways to directly edit a model. I can remove a wall here and it turns this into a cone, or I can get rid of this hole entirely, and just like that we've easily directly edited the model. In similar fashion, I can move things or offset things, but as we go through the suite of tools, you'll find that we don't have a way to, say, rotate a feature. Perhaps I have this step file and I really need to rotate this keyway 45 degrees. Well, am I out of luck? In this video, that's what we're talking about. So let's talk about some ways that we can do this. First and foremost, I'm going to go to my Surface tab and convert this entire model into a surface. So we'll say, convert solid to surface. If you're less familiar with surfaces, I'll say that surfaces are never an end, right? You never sit down, make a surface, and then say, oh, I'm done. Surfaces are a means to an end, and a very useful one at that. And so surfaces can help us get to where we want to go if other options aren't available. Surfaces are infinitely thin, and so this is no longer solid. This just has this green surface that marks what the outside of our solid was before we converted it into a surface. And let's talk about how we can get this rotated. First, we'll want to split the surface, right? I'll want to take this whole thing and say, yeah, let's make this its own little set of surfaces. And so we're going to go to split, and I'll start clicking on faces that I want to separate from the big group of surfaces, which these will work. Now with this separated, I can make an axis, like a little reference that marks the center. And then I can say, you know what, I want to rotate my surface. So we'll go to Surface, we go to the Move Rotate tool, and we'll select the surfaces that we split. The other option is all the other surfaces that we were able to generate, but of course we want to move this surface. I'll choose a precise rotate, and we'll choose an axis that marks the center. And then I can type in an angle like 45 degrees. Let's say that that's the rotation that I would like to make. I simply say OK. But of course, surfaces by themselves aren't very useful. This is not very useful as it is. So we'll need to convert it back into being a solid. So I'll go with Stitch right here. And you'll see that I have this option to take my surfaces and stitch to a single surface. In this case, I can put these two together and they become a single surface again. I undo that split operation that I made, but I want to make it solid. So I'm going to choose Stitch to Solid. And just like that, we are solid and useful again. So that is how we can start rotating features. Convert to a surface, stitch them into what we want to rotate them, and then move it back into a surface. But what if I have a case like this? If I undo my Stitch to Solid and we go back into surface land, there's a bit of a problem here, because if I go to split and rotate my faces and I go to try to rotate, well, you can see the faces don't quite follow along. So we'll need to do something a little bit different in cases like this. I'm going to roll this back to about there, and I'm going to do an extrude cut on this face. And I'll add a concentric relation here, just like that. And that should be good, right? So I'm going to do a very, very, very thin cut. We can say a 0.01 or something small. And that is all I need. So we're going to regenerate everything. And now that we're back in surface land, I can be a bit more judicious about how I choose my split. I'll choose all the faces involved here. And I'll choose this face. And you can see that I left off on selecting a face that, as I spin it, I don't have any of the problems that I had before. So now with that split, I can again make an axis that marks how I want to spin around. And then with my surface, I'll choose Move and Rotate, and I'll select that split that I just made. I'll go to Precise Rotate and select the axis that I just made. And then I can rotate this, say, 45 degrees. And we were able to generate that, no problem. So I'm able to rotate surfaces by an axis that I create. And if there's any problems, I can make a little cut or some change in the geometry and rotate with that. And then I'll simply go to my stitch, and I'll stitch all of my surfaces that I have back into a solid. And I've been able to directly edit my solid. Of course, I probably don't want this groove anymore. And my favorite way to edit models can go right back in to play here. So I can simply remove the face, and I'm back to my original solid, but I have made the rotated features the way that I need. So hopefully this is a helpful thing to put into your tool belt if you need to directly edit something and rotate it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope this was helpful, and see you in the next video.